thank you for being here with us this morning. We appreciate it. We know it's early, and to say the least, there's always something that can happen that can probably just put a little in our day. But we need to get into this. We appreciate it, and this shows that the appreciation for both of you is, of course, on a global scale, not just here in Trinidad and Tobago. Nicole, I'd like to start with you. Let's talk a little bit about the meaning of the award to you. You are the recipient of Transformational Healing and Advocacy per the Beacon Award. How does that feel?
Really something special. It's special to be acknowledged, to be recognized, and to be acknowledged and recognized for something that just comes naturally, really. It makes you take a deep breath. You know, I always speak about oxygen and being oxygenated. Yeah. This really was a breath of oxygen when it was really needed at that point. You know, when people get recognized, they tend to say, I feel humbled, and you say, oh yeah, whatever. But I honestly do, because with recognition comes a responsibility, and it's an awesome responsibility that I do not take lightly. So I'd really like to thank Renee for taking the opportunity to stop from all of the things that she's doing, because she's a powerhouse in and of itself. So to stop what she's doing, to take the time to recognize us, I really am humble, and I'm very thankful.
Absolutely beautiful. And Asha, your Heritage Award speaks to your role in cultural stewardship. How does it feel to be the recipient of that?
Right. Well, of course, I am really honored. I'm honored to be in the company of Nicole and the other honorees as well. It's really, I think it's important when you are recognized for the work that you do. And I don't think we do it for recognition, but we do it. And I mean, I think for that to be acknowledged, it's very encouraging. It kind of propels you forward. And of course, as you said, on a global stage, well, I think, you know, with the way that the world is going, we have to aim much higher than these shores, you know. So it's really a good thing, and I think it will, you know, give me a little push for the next 10 years, you know, because, you know, there are moments when you face a lot of challenges and so on, but things like this, you know, pop up, and they really kind of help you to push it forward.
Definitely. Nicole, you've spoken about resilience and healing, and as you mentioned, of course, oxygen. You've spoken about it a lot, and it definitely is something that has inspired the young women, not just here in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the region. But what about your connection to the diaspora? Do you think that has also assisted in bringing that connection in and perhaps shaping your advocacy as well?
Oh, absolutely. I recently launched something called the Healing Hub, which is an online support system for persons who would have been impacted in some way by cancer, whether you will have managed cancer, whether you would have lost someone as a result of cancer, whether you're currently working with someone with cancer. So it's where we just come together, and sometimes we just want to talk or listen or read or whatever. And we have persons joining the Healing Hub from all over the world. So it's such a beautiful conversation every morning. So every morning at a certain time I open it, and then a certain time I close it. So in terms of reaching outward, I definitely have seen the opportunity and the reach that my experience has brought, and has given me the opportunity to speak from a different perspective and to see things from a different perspective.
I have to ask, of course, I mean, with the Healing Hub, something that you have survived through consistently, of course, but did you see it grow? Did you expect it to grow the way that it has, being able to touch lives all over the world?
That was never the intention. Yeah. The intention really was just to manage cancer. You know, there's something that I always say, I abhor the term survivor. I do not like it, because to me, it makes me feel as a little diminished. Okay. It makes the fight and the management feel a little diminished, like it's me and cancer winning. No, not a survivor. I managed it. Right. So that is what I reframe the concept of surviving to managing, and that is one of the things I share with the persons in the Healing Hub, that we're managers. So I call it a post-cancer manager rather than a survivor. You could be a post-cancer manager or a post-cancer advocate, whichever, you know, tickles your fancy. But at the same time, it really speaks to the impact that this has had on people across borders, because when you look at the Healing Hub itself, the WhatsApp group, we have over 160 something persons that have had to stop in, you know, accepting persons simply because there's so many. When you go to the clinic in St. James, there's so many. Girl, when I tell you there's so many people managing this thing that still, I don't think we're speaking about it enough, and there's a lot of work to do. So when things like these come to the fore and people say, wait, I see you. It really means a lot, Asha. You know, it really means something when people say, I see you. and they stop and they just, stop the music, stop the noise, and say, I see what you're doing, and I recognize it.
And that's something that's so important because it speaks to the individual, it speaks to the community in whole, and shows us that we're all in this together as well. Women's voices and leadership are critical. So to you, this event, how important is it when it comes to ensuring that we have that participation and that recognition so that we see that investment in young women's voices and leadership moving forward?
I believe everyone's voice is important. I always say when people tend to speak to me about women's empowerment, and so I say I'm raising a young man, and I need for his voice to be just as heard as my voice. So in terms of looking at the at giving voice to persons, women, men, people's voices are important. Human voices are important. We live in the day of AI, and very soon we're going to find that artificial intelligence is going to be superseding human intelligence as it pertains to a number of different areas. So it's imperative that we continue to afford human voices to be heard, understood, appreciated, and provided a platform to continue to grow and to be heard.
Now, as you mentioned human voices, Asha, something, of course, within your, one of your fields, I should say, is the fact that you ensure that voices are heard and seen as well. You have taken Caribbean film to international audiences. What opportunities do you see for our stories on the global stage to do?
Well, I think certainly there's a demand for it. There's an appetite for it, so that is good. With the Caribbean Film Festival, we wanted it to go beyond just an exhibition space for a week, and so we have really been creating these collaborations and linkages internationally where we can then have those films screened at different avenues and venues. So, for example, we screened at the Sankofa Square in Toronto earlier in August, and this was the film component of them rebranding the square and so on, and it was Caribbean film, and it was very well received. So I think one of the things, yes, we are talking about producing film and making more and having our voices heard, but we have to get the voices out as well. So this is one way that we are trying to do that.
How do initiatives like this, the River Runway, complement the work that you're doing when it comes to reach, let's say?
Well, again, you're seeing, people are seeing what you're doing. You're able to spread the message a little bit more on an international scale. So I think that that's really valuable for the work that we're doing here.
And what does it mean for both of you, Asha? We'll start with you, to stand alongside fellow honorees, being honored, but also spreading the message of using Renee as the excellence of Trinidad and Tobago.
I think, like Nicole said, is that idea of being seen and people acknowledging and valuing what you do. And I see that in all of the other honorees, So I am delighted and honored to stand next to them. And I'm really happy that we are all being honored in this way. I think we really have to support each other. We have to support what we're doing. We're all working in our own different areas, but we're working for the benefit of the society. We're trying to build something. We're trying to build something solid. So we have to support each other. We have to take the time, acknowledge each other, and celebrate each other.
And Nicole?
I'm listening to Asha and I'm saying, yes, go, yes. Because it's so true. Renee and I always have the conversation about excellence and Trinidad and Tobago and what do we need to do to really continue to take who we are as a people, bottle it, and get it out there globally. When you look at someone like Renee, and I will always speak to Renee's excellence and her global impact and her not being recognized as much as she should be recognized right here in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm very passionate about that. When you hear this woman speak, when you see the impact she's had globally, when you see the stages that she's currently on, when you hear what she's speaking about as it relates to AI, the impact of AI and ethics and how to utilize AI, and I sit back and I stand in my shoes and I wonder, why do we have someone like this out there doing all of these wonderful things and we have not found a way to hone that genius in Trinidad and Tobago? And so it's a conversation that I have with many people. It's a conversation I've held with her. However, she's not waiting and she's out there doing what she needs to do. And so it's really something else when someone like that takes the opportunity to take others along with her and to create that international platform for other persons who she feels presents as excellent in whatever field they present as excellent in. And you have persons like Asha, you have Dominic Khalid-Prasad, who I recall interviewed me when I was Miss Trinidad and Tobago many years ago. And you look at this gentleman on the news from ever since right here, ever since when, so it's like, oh my God, Dominic Khalid-Prasad, so you're in awe of these persons. So it's really an awesome feeling and just a wonderful thing all around that she's doing.
And the beautiful thing about it, well, is that we see both of you, of course, creating legacy, and we see legacy coming from River Runway as well, because annually we're going to see this moving forward. Unfortunately, though, we can't move forward because we're almost out of time. But if we could kindly get some closing comments for Trinidad and Tobago, Nicole, if we could start with you.
Certainly. Again, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having us here to share our thoughts and considerations. Thanks so much to the promoters and collaborators of River Runway for recognizing us. It's a pleasure, it's an honor, it's a privilege to represent Trinidad and Tobago once again. And so you'll see us on the runway. I'm wearing Zara Niesman, by the way.
And Asha?
I want to close with a note of gratitude as well. I'm really grateful for Rennie to, take the time to pull this together. I know she has a team working hard in New York, so thank you to Renee and her team for this honor. And yeah, we are gonna be excellent.
And there we go. Perfect way to close. Ladies, thank you for joining us, and congratulations again. And thank you as well for everything that you have done. And looking forward to seeing more of this and more conversations with both of you here on the Now Morning Show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't want to miss what's happening, of course, River Runway, the Republic Day Soiree in New York City. If you don't know, make sure that you go on social media and find out. We'll be back in a few moments right after this break.